All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the single most important yet kind of invisible piece of tech that runs our entire world, the database. Seriously, it is the silent architecture behind pretty much every single thing you do online. So let's dive in. You know how this goes, right? You're shopping online, you toss a few things in your cart, you close the browser, maybe you come back hours later or even the next day, and everything's still right there. How? Is it magic? Nope. The answer is a database, and it's the secret to how our digital world remembers anything at all. You know, before we had this kind of digital memory, things were just a mess. And the difference is night and day. We literally went from a world of slow, clumsy, error-filled paper to a system that's the total opposite. Fast, super accurate, and you can find anything in an instant. This wasn't just a small step up, it was a complete revolution in how we handle information. I want you to just imagine your school trying to find your grades from 3 years back by flipping through some massive dusty book. Or a shopkeeper trying to figure out last year's sales from a handwritten ledger, sometimes called a holkata. It was an absolute nightmare of lost info and just simple human error. This was the problem that desperately needed a fix. So what was the answer? Well, it meant completely rethinking how we store stuff. To get away from the chaos of all that scattered paper, the world needed a central, organized place for all its data. It needed an organized base. So what even is a database? At its heart, it's really just a structured collection of data. But I absolutely love this analogy. Think of an army base. It's the central command center, right? Where all the troops and equipment are organized so everything works smoothly and efficiently. A database does that exact same thing, but for information. It's literally a base for data. And when you use a database, the advantages are just huge. You can store unbelievable amounts of information, find one tiny piece of data in a split second, and if you update it, it updates everywhere at once. And this is crucial. You can control who gets to see or change things. It just slashes the number of errors. No more writing the same name and address in 10 different books. Okay, so we get what it is and why it's so great, but how does it actually work, under the hood? Let's peel back just one more layer. Now, you might be thinking, wait, don't I already have files and folders on my computer? And yeah, you do, but that's a file system. Think of that like a bunch of random scattered notes all over your desk. A database is totally different. It's like a perfectly organized filing cabinet where every piece of paper is not just filed in the right spot, but it's also linked to every other related piece of paper. And where does this magical filing cabinet live? On non-volatile memory, like your hard drive or SSD. This is so important. Your computer's short-term memory, its RAM, is volatile, meaning when the power goes off, poof, it forgets everything. Databases are stored on permanent, non-volatile memory. That's exactly why your shopping cart is still there, even after you restart your computer. But, okay, here is where things get really, really clever. The true power of a modern database isn't just about storing data, it's about understanding the connections between all that data. This incredible idea is called a relational database. See, instead of having one giant, clunky, monstrous file with every single piece of information jammed into it, you break it all down into smaller, logical tables that are all linked together. This right here, this is the secret sauce that makes everything so fast and efficient. Let's take a school, for instance. It would have one table for student info, names and addresses, and a completely separate table for grades. Now, instead of repeating a student's name and address for every single test score, you just link the two tables together with a unique student ID. You store the core information once, and then you just reference it. It's so clean, so efficient, and it avoids so much duplication. And this whole game-changing idea wasn't just some accident. It was actually proposed by a computer scientist named E.F. Codd way back in 1970. And that one idea, well, it laid the foundation for the entire digital world we live in today. So how do these links or relationships actually work? Well, the most common one is called one-to-many. Just think about a football team. You've got one team, say Argentina, and that one team is linked to many players. Messi, Martinez, Di Maria, the whole squad. See? One-to-many. It's simple, but it's incredibly powerful. All right, but let's think about a trickier situation. At a university, one student can take many courses, right? But at the same time, one course has many students in it. That's not one-to-many, it's many-to-many. So how on earth does a database handle that without becoming a complete tangled mess? Well, the solution is just beautiful. It's so elegant. You create a third table called a junction table, and it has one job and one job only. It connects the other two. One column has the student ID, the other has the course ID. It just sits in the middle and perfectly solves that many-to-many problem by creating two simple one-to-many links. So clever. So after all that theory, let's bring it all back home. Why does this whole system of tables and keys and relationships actually matter to you in your day-to-day life? Well, every single time you watch a video on YouTube, the title, the creator, your comments, the number of views, all of it is being pulled from a massive database in real time.
Think about any item you buy on Daraz or Amazon. The product name, the price, how many are in stock, your shipping address. It's all being tracked and managed with perfect accuracy by a database.
And yep, it's the exact same for every single grade, every course you register for, and every piece of your personal information stored at your school or university. The truth is, this invisible engine is just humming along quietly in the background of your entire digital life. Everything is organized, stored, and managed by a database. And we're not talking about small amounts of data here. Platforms like YouTube are managing billions of users and trillions of data points. And all of it is made possible and made fast by the very same principles we just talked about. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. From your social media posts to your private messages to your shopping habits, your entire digital life is neatly organized in a database somewhere out there. The real question is, who holds the keys to that filing cabinet?